So glad to see that you've made it this far. Kevin back again for some more HTML excitement. Today we're going to be looking at working on and designing frames pages. Now I know you guys have probably heard of frames pages or seen them before. Let's take a look at a quick example. So I actually went ahead and if I go under my webs, I created a directory called frames where in here I have an example of a frames page. So first off, you'll notice that I need to have 3 pages for this, 3 written web pages. Let me open up my index. You've probably seen pages like this before. There is actually 3 web pages being used here. The first one is the one that is basically requesting these 2 pages, and then there's a page here and a page here. I want to go ahead and just write a simple frames page, okay? I want to set it up. I'm going to make it look just like this, nothing fancy. We're just going to get started and continue on from there. So, first thing we're going to do is, since we need to have more than one document, let's create a folder and we'll call it Lesson 11. And I'm going to open up my Start here. There we go. Took me a couple minutes. And immediately we're going to start saving stuff. So I'm going to do save as, go into lesson 11. First I'm going to make an index, index.htm. Then I want to do file, save as, this is going to be write.htm. And then I'm going to do file, save as, left.htm. All on its own, these pages don't do anything right now. I got index here. Index just brings up a blank page. If I view my source here, sorry, I'm drinking a water bottle while I do this. It just basically shows my basic skeleton. So if I want to open up my index page, so right click and open index. Cool. So what I'm going to title this, frames page. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up. So right underneath my head tag, let's space down a couple, and we're going to open up a tag, and it's going to be called frame set, F-R-A-M-E, set. And I'm going to set my first column width, C-O-L-S, equals 150, and then I'm going to just do a star. Star is for wildcard. Basically, we go width first, height second. I don't want there to be a limit on how tall my page can be displayed. I'm just going to do a star because that means just go forever, you know, until the web browsers can't handle it anymore. Go over 3 more, and I'm going to set my very first frame, which is going to be my left frame. So I'm going to call this name, and the name of it is going to be, let's say menu, and then my target. Remember, we've seen this before. That's also going to equal menu. src, because we have to find it, right? We're going to search for left.htm and quote, and my tag. There's my first frame. This is my left frame. So now let me save this. Let me see what happens when I reload index. Cool. Not too much going on. I haven't really specified my entire page yet, but I do have my left frame set up. My right frame is completely blank. There's no page over here. So why don't I set one up? Frame, and this is going to be name equals, and this is going to be main. I'm going to call this one my main and set up my target is going to equal main. Remember where we saw target before, because it's going to help you guys out. And this is going to be searching for write.htm. Whoops. And there we go. Save it. Let's see where we're sitting at now. We have a frames page, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is basically all that we need to have. All right. But what I want to do is I want to set it up so it's kind of like a failsafe in case somebody has a really old browser or it doesn't support frames. We need to have an error message. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a no frames. This is basically a tag saying if the person doesn't have frames, do this. And we're going to grab our body because we wanted to write something. We're going to set a paragraph that says your browser doesn't support frames. Sorry. Oops, end our little paragraph here. This is kind of, like I said, it's a fail-safe. We don't need to have it, but we're going to have it. And now we actually need to go through the process of closing our tags. First tag we're going to close, we might as well just close no frames, because it just happens to be right there. And the next one we have to close is the one that we set the frames with. So it's going to be frame set. Alright, here's our frames page. Let's save it and let's make sure. It should look exactly like this when I refresh, and it does. Cool, that's awesome. So it actually has 2 pages set up. Very nice. If you take a look at this, we can actually adjust this. Let's say in the event you don't want to. I don't want my users to be able to mess with that. All that I have to do is at the end of my main one, I'm going to push space here and then I'm going to type no resize. Save. Refresh it. This can't be resized. And I just want to, why don't we change this to 20? See what that does. That makes 20, there's 20 pixels over here instead of 150 like we had before. So why don't we make it 120? Let's find a nice pretty little size that we can work with here. Because this is going to be our menu. I'll tell you what, let's make it 150. I like 150 better. Alright. Cool. This is a basic frames page. Now, our index.html is actually calling the different pages. So all our index does is it comes down here and it says, hey, we need to set up a left frame here that's 150 pixels by whatever. And then it says we need to grab the HTML, and now we need to have our right main, one that's going to serve as our content page. That's going to be here. We got to call that, and in the event this person doesn't have frames, we can do this. I can erase that. That is optional code, but I'm doing that for my little buddy that's still running, you know, Windows 3.1 in some office building somewhere and doesn't support frames. Although I bet even back then they supported frames. So cool. Now there's one more thing I want to do in this lesson before I start getting into more crazier stuff. Is I want to open up my left and my right. So let's open those up. So I got left and then right.html. These are just blank documents. Why don't we just type in here? I'm going to type this is my, what is my right frame? This is my right frame. I'm going to copy that, save it, and inside here, this is my left frame. Save it. Refresh. Look at that. Frame. Why does it say frame? I know. I'm retarded. Hold on a second. Okay. So these are 2 completely different documents. I can even view them like on their own. Like there's my left frame, there's my right frame. So it's kind of a cool little concept where you can have 2 web pages running at the exact same time. This is going to help us out in our next little project we're going to work on. But before we do that, what I want to do is I want to end the lesson here. I want you guys to practice this, and when we come back, we're actually going to do a different kind of frames page. There's a whole lot of different ones you can do. I'm going to show you guys how to do 2 of them. Maybe 3, I don't know, we'll see. But this one sets up 2. Next, we're going to have one that does 3. So we're going to have a whole lot of fun. Mess with this. See you in that lesson. Take care.